Hi, everybody. Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. With me today, I've got Bez Rengifo. And what we're going to be talking about is why you need to quit applying for jobs and how to actually get a job without actually keep applying for jobs. And Bez is going to be talking to us about that. Bez, where can people find you?
On LinkedIn. You'll find me there. That's where I hang out. I mean, I have other social media, but that's more like friends and family. LinkedIn is the place for where I hang out.
Excellent. So Bez, so quit applying for jobs. What on earth are you talking about?
Well,
There's been a lot of people laid off, and a lot of people are looking for roles, and it's not like it probably was 3 years ago where we could just walk into a job. Now, we're having to apply for jobs, and it's taking months.
well, it's I know people think I have three heads when I say that, and I think there's some statistics out there. So there's a I believe this was Glassdoor that said there's a 0.03 success rate of applying for jobs. I was talking to somebody else the other day in the know, and they said it's less than 1%. I go, so my statistics are pretty close. The ones I'm seeing, they go, yeah. Now we do get hires out of applying. There's certain levels that you are in your career, and some industries that do quite well in that. But let's say you're mid-career and on above that. Um, yeah, those numbers aren't that good. So there's other things you can do that are quite a bit more fruitful, like networking.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how is it that we before we came live, we were talking about serendipity and the fact that
Yes.
things can happen. And I gave you an example that one of our clients, they posted on LinkedIn, they were moving offices, and they posted about, look at our lovely office. And one of their contacts basically said, wow, didn't know that you were in this business, not seen you for ages, love to have a chat. We've actually got a framework agreement, maybe that you'd like to bid for that. And that was $500 million purely from a post about an office. And that's serendipity. But how is it that we can be in a situation where we can be where we can be front of mind? So when people come up and say, I've got a job coming up, how is it that we can be the person where they say, oh, and I'm going to give it and I already know that Bez is going to be the right person for that?
Well, number one, you have to be out there. So let's say you're on LinkedIn, or wherever you hang out. You need to actually share your voice. Here's the sad thing, that I've noticed is that there's a lot of people that have really great thought leadership, but the TikToker that has no experience has a great following and is out there giving, pretty dangerous advice.
Hmm.
They haven't made enough mistakes. But yeah, I've seen, if you put yourself out there and you share a post, oh, I have a wonderful story. People are gonna know who you are, and they may not even interact with your post. And I actually have a really good example. Somebody I know was doing was a marketing executive internationally. Was in between jobs and was put up her consultancy up, put a page up on LinkedIn, and she did 2 posts a week, one from her LinkedIn company page, one from her personal page about her experience and her thoughts on marketing. There was somebody that she went to K through 12 to school with, reach out to her, was a CEO, now a CEO, and said, "Hey, I've been every week. I look forward to your post, and I print them up, and I go to my executive team, and we talk about them."
Yeah.
This guy's printing them up,
Yeah.
um, and then what that led to is she got a fractional opportunity. Before the first engagement was done, he had given her 2 more. So now she has 3 projects haven't finished the first one. And here's the thing. He never once liked or commented on her post,
Yeah.
but he was printing them up. So yeah, you got to put yourself out there. People have to know who you are, and you have to exercise your voice.
So, say I've just lost my job,
Okay.
and I've now got to go through the process of actually finding a job. What's the first thing I need to do?
The first thing you need to know is recognize that you're probably, it hurts,
Yeah.
right? And so you're going to go through this grieving process, and it's not linear. It's going to be all over the place, but just recognize you're going to go through that in what we call grief. Whether
Yeah.
you lost a loved one, you lose a job, it's the same. People say it's just a job. People just, I mean, Tim, when you and I do stuff, we don't do it halfway. We show up, we put our blood, sweat, and tears into it, and that's how people show up to work. And so it recognize that and just go through that process. It may take time, and that's a whole separate conversation. The second thing that they need, and that's part of the mindset. All about mindset is recognize you're going to go through grief. The other thing is start planning where you want to go. So that's a little bit of career and life planning. You're at a part in your life that career and life starts to interact and intertwine. Put it on a timeline, sketch it out. What do you want to do? What are you going to do? What's you want to go to this position next? Well, what's the third position out there?
Yeah.
Define them. So yeah, if you can do those things right off the bat, then you have clarity when you go in and someone says, you have clarity even in developing your own brand, right? Like, how do I want to be portrayed out there? So strategy is important. And then you go into your branding part. And now you have a clear direction. Now your branding, or who you want others to, how do you want to put yourself out there? People are clear. And then now when you're out there networking and doing some outreach, you can articulate a 5-10 second pitch. You can do a 30-second intro. You can do a 2 minute because you're clear. So those are really effective ways to put yourself out there. And some of the first things you should do. They're very basic, but sometimes we miss the basic.
Yeah. One of the things about being laid off is you're being given the gift of time. And you can do all the things that you said you didn't have time for because you were working. And I think the first thing that you said, which was about mindset, which is you need to make sure that you get over the grief and you're actually seeing a positive from the layoff.
Right.
And then I agree with you. It's about sitting down and actually strategizing where you want to go next. And if I wanted to strategize, what was I need? What are the things that I need to do to sit down? Is that like get ChatGPT out, or get a piece of paper and a pen and actually sit down and brainstorm with myself, or maybe a loved one or something?
I think all the above work. Whatever works for you. I mean, for me, I'd like to grab a cup of coffee, go be by myself, grab a blank sheet of paper. But some people will just start interacting with ChatGPT and break that down. Whatever works for you. And I mean, this is a time in your life where start with a blank sheet of paper. Like you said, you have time. And this is where we get into, and I've got we were going over my framework, the career management. This is where you get into like, hey, what is my next steps, my next 2 or 3 chess moves? This is on the career management side. On the front side, when you have a blank sheet of paper and you're able to sort of put everything out there, take inventory of your skills, take inventory of some of the things you have done that nobody else knows. Volunteer activities. Maybe you've been a judge. Maybe you've at a hackathon, or maybe you've done some great things, and you just think, oh well, that's just volunteer stuff. Well, some of those volunteer things, you're board chair, you're managing a $5 million project for a nonprofit, and I don't see anything about that on your resume, on your LinkedIn, or you're not telling anybody.
Yeah.
Those are significant accomplishments that lead to new opportunities.
Or you're a coach, or
Yes.
all the classic things, like that you're in a team, because being a team player is really important. And I
I
think
started at as snack dad on a little league baseball team, and then I became a assistant manager, with other coaches, and then I became somehow umpire in chief, and then I became president of that little league. And I started as the snack dad, which was a snack mom job. But see, you never know. You never know, and these things turn into you meet new people, and your network expands.
so. The next, so we're actually just so if you're watching, we're working through Bez's framework that he has about. Um, Now we won't have time to go through all the parts of his framework, but but the next piece in his framework is about personal brand. Tell us about personal brand, because I think it's one of the things that people seem to talk about a lot. But um, what do you mean by personal brand?
Well, I always start at step 0,
Right.
and that is, how do people talk about you when you're not in the room,
Yeah.
right? And maybe it's you're developing and you don't know it because you're developing with every breath you take, right? How do you show up? Are
Mm.
you kind? Are you mean to people?
Yeah.
I think there's some basic characteristics that you're going to want to take account of, and maybe ask some people around you. How do you come? Maybe take some of those personality tests or assessments that they're out there. Gallup Strengths Finders. You have Myers Briggs. That might give you a little inclination of who you are and maybe what the output into the universe you're putting out there. But those are the core basic step 0. And that's actually what really matters, before you start thinking about your fonts, your color scheme and all that. I mean, the color wheel. But yeah, how do you show up? And then how do out of this, how do you want to communicate that? And you got to pick a few things, and because there's that, from a branding perspective, you want to be clear, right? Because there's this saying in sales and marketing, if you confuse, you lose, right? So that's what I'll talk about basically at step 0. It's very basic, but you have it. You're developing it every day, and just take account of it. And what do you want to magnify?
And this is about, for me, personal brand is about the digital side of who
Okay.
we are. So who we are, what we turn up in a particular fashion. I went to an event this morning and I've worn a shirt, and that's how I wanted, and a jacket, and that's how I wanted to turn up in the analog world. And what is it that we want to turn up in the digital world? Because everybody on LinkedIn looks exactly the same. So how can we be different? If we're going to be chosen for the job, we have to be different rather than being the same, aren't we? Otherwise,
Yeah.
um, and that is about again about showing your personality. Um,
Right.
and because LinkedIn is a social network, not a sales network. Um, and so we often see people writing things like, I'm a results orientated, high energetic people, and it's meaningless rubbish. Words never changed
Right.
anything. And it's what if I'm a hiring manager, I want to see the real you. I'm the coach for our local baseball team. Oh wow. That makes you interesting. I'm a big fan of film noir. Whatever it is that and you never know, the hiring manager may be interested in that as well, and therefore you've got something to connect. So anything else on personal brand that you can offer advice?
I love what you're saying. How do you want to show up? You were talking about some of the things. It made me laugh because as a basketball coach for my kids, I was a screamer, and my wife couldn't even come because I just you'll see me on LinkedIn with a nice shirt and button down, but you see me on the sideline, I'm shouting commands. Then I'm Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Yeah, your personality needs to come out. Who are you? That's going to be different. Um, what do you stand for?
Mm.
I mean, what don't you stand for? How can we? Because you know what? And sometimes people are afraid. right? To depending where you are in your life and career, to even be their real selves. But that's what we want to see. We want to see those nuances, those like you said, there'll be commonality and connections even based on hobbies. You know, do you skydive?
Yeah,
And maybe the person you went to interview with is a skydiver.
yeah,
Wow, that's powerful, right?
yeah.
So,
That's connection. So
connection.
yeah, so the next thing that you talk about is about, and I wanted to talk about this, is about network and outreach.
Yes.
Because I've actually had people say to me, "You mean we can actually contact people on LinkedIn, or can we actually contact the hiring manager, or can we contact somebody in a company that I actually want to work for?"
Absolutely, absolutely. I think you should be strategic and figure out who is it. Develop your dream 100. All
Mm,
right, and then go in on LinkedIn. Okay, who's that hiring manager I would work for? Why not reach out or see if they're active on LinkedIn? Comment on some of the stuff they're saying. You know, if they're active. And and get in their ecosystem. I'll tell you this: I've developed a great relationship with someone before the pandemic because I was commenting on her stuff and I got on her podcast, because we developed that relationship. It started from comments on LinkedIn and having a banter back and forth. And so, yes, you can outreach to people. You'd be surprised that people I find more people are afraid to actually outreach, pick up the phone, talk to somebody in a crowded room. That's terrifying for some people.
But
But I always
but if we were at a networking event
right.
and we went over, we'd grab a coffee, we'd then scan the room looking for someone to talk to, and then we'd walk over and talk to them.
Yes. Yes. And you only have to talk to one person, right? You
Hmm.
don't have to go and say, "Oh, I gotta spray people my business card." No, that's not that's how
Hmm.
networking gets a bad name.
Yeah,
You you go find one person, go deep with them. And then while you're talking to them, if you really ask them enough questions, they'll tell you about themselves. And you know what? They'll turn around and ask questions about you. And
yeah,
while you're talking, you'll say, "Oh, I need to connect this person with this other person in the room," right? And now you've made magic happen, right? And you just I tell my extrovert friends, network like an introvert. Just go find one person. Go deep and quit trying to be so superficial because we're trying to develop connections, not a stack of business cards, you
yeah.
know.
I've got one of those as well. I used to, because I think one of the things that always amazes me about LinkedIn is that they think it's a sales network. So I'll get people coming to me who might want to come on this podcast. But what happens is that the way they approach me, I've got one this week. What happens is he's approached me and it comes across as basically he's trying to sell to me. And of course, I just go, "Ugh." And I've ignored the approach because I kind of find like I'd have to wash my hands if I look at it. I have to wash my hands afterwards, and it's like, come on, stop. Everybody hates being sold to over LinkedIn, so stop doing it. And this is the thing where just connect to somebody, say, hey, Bez, it looks you look like a really interesting person. I really love the stuff that you're posting. Could we connect? Woo.
You,
And
you,
immediately Bez will go, yes, because we all love a bit of
yeah,
flattery.
a
And
hundred
if you
percent.
say my content is wonderful, of course we're connected. And then don't then start pitching to people. Just say, thank you.
It's equivalent, and it doesn't matter what social media platform you're on, but I see a lot on LinkedIn. You send me a message, and you don't even say hi. The first thing is what you can sell me,
Yeah.
and that's not how you sell people. You sell people based on relationships and that they
There's no
trust
trust.
you.
Why would anybody buy anything? It's a stranger coming across the street to say, buy my stuff. And it's the same thing, walking across LinkedIn and say, buy my stuff. There's no trust.
And so I love where this is going because there's another thing too is if you're talking to people and you're doing outreach, you should contact people that know, like, and trust you as the first level, right? And when you're talk to them how their family is doing, how are you doing, and spend as much time you need to on that before you go on to, hey, what can I do for you? And then, hey, here's what my needs are. How can who do you know that could help me out? So yeah, we forget to do some of that little banter at the top end to get to know people or catch up and see how life is.
Yeah, I mean, networking in on digital is no different from networking on analog.
Yeah.
We would never walk up to somebody in an analog networking event and say, here's, this is what I sell." They basically ring security. So why would you do it on digital? You'd have a conversation, and I know it annoys people that it takes a little bit longer, but you actually find that you get a better response by actually having a conversation.
It's so alike to your their especially digital. I tell people, it sounds like, when you're drop into my DMs that you're asking me, "Hey, my name is so and so, let's get married."
Yeah.
Well, why don't we do a little bit of the before stuff
Can you
first?
buy me a drink first?
Yeah, exactly. Ex yeah,
But
100.
Bez, thank you so much for coming on and talking about this. It's been a great conversation. You've got a lot of experience, and thank you for sharing your insights. Remind people where they can get hold of you.
Go ahead and get a hold of me on LinkedIn. Just type in my name, Bez Rengifo. I am, there's a cohort. We're doing a 12-week career sprint. So if you're interested, just reach out. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to use the 12-week year concept. So yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Okay, thank you, Bez. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us. It's been